Dear agent of the universe, in every loss there is always beauty, a gift and something to be learnt about ourselves. There's also the reminder that there will always be change, albeit good or bad, and that the only thing we can do is to try and not tame that horse of change, which will just keep throwing us off, but to remain a sea of calm and peace and grounded irrespective of what happens around us. Even though it is so much easier to spew from my mouth than practice in my mind. Though, as I remain in a holding cell blockaded from you, I'm definitely learning to be the sea and not the horse, as well as to seek the gifts in this situation that I can only define as madness. But I'm also learning that to be with you, one has to have great influence over one's prana. Because otherwise, with all the twists and turns in your life, my prana, also known as energy, would be all over the place, and my body's systems would constantly be dancing the flamingo. In yoga, breath is called prana, and prana is energy, which pervades our entire being and is the conduit between our mind and our body. It is an actor, not a thinker, and it is more than just our respiratory process. The process of inhaling, exhaling, retention are merely indicators that prana is alive and working within us. You can't see prana or touch it, but you sure as hell can feel it. They are like the chicken and the egg. It is the prana in us that takes in air and expels it from us, and it is that process of inhalation and exhalation that indicates that we have prana. One does not exist without the other. Although prana is a singular energy, it has many manifestations. It is like the elephant god in Hinduism, with all its arms, legs, and trunk. The whole elephant is our energy, but each part of it utilizes the energy for a different purpose. The trunk is prana, and it moves our outgoing breath, and apana is the force behind our ingoing breath. Note, inhalation is an effect of exhalation, not the other way around. And in yoga, we always count a complete breath from our exhale. Then there is samana, the belly button area, that aims to keep our energy in balance and is responsible for the fire that digests our food and keeps our systems in balance. Udana pervades the throat area, which is the drive behind our speech. Lastly, there is Vyana, which pervades our whole body and influences our circulatory system. The rest of the prana that moves through our arms and legs are forms of energy that are used to burp, move eyelids, yawn, create hunger, and so forth. Now, to truly understand why influencing our breath, to tame our prana, is so important, we need to step back into a little yoga philosophy. In humans, we are always moving between three states known as gunas. The first is sattva, our purest state where we act out of knowledge, where we sit in contentment, joy, positivity, and gratitude. In this state, we are liberated from violence, fear, and malice. The second is rajasic, when we are in a state of action, movement, energy, which manifests in us as attachment and a longing for satisfaction of our desires. The last is tamas, that state where we are enveloped by darkness, negativity, anger, jealousy, and all other destructive emotions. Gunas are present in everything, even in food. There are foods that make us lazy, that make us feel good, that even incite anger in us. Phew! Take a breath here, because I know it is a lot to absorb, and yet very fascinating. Now, coming back to prana, its fundamental essence is activity, rajasic, as it is prana that drives our autonomic nervous system. So really, it can never take a nap. If it does, then rest assured you're dead. When we are in a rajasic or tamasic state, our prana is erratic. It stops, it goes, it's all over the place. Now remember the last letter about what happens when we are in this state? The blue snake takes over, and our whole body moves into fight and flight mode, which we now know 13 letters later is only great if we are being chased by a wild animal or fleeing a burning house. You get the drift. To practice the limbs of yoga that are our asanas, singular focus, and meditation, our prana needs to flow smoothly, gently, and therefore we need to be in a sattvic state. Yep, we are back to the chicken and the egg. Because to get into a sattvic state, our energy must be flowing smoothly, and for our energy to flow smoothly, we must be in a sattvic state. But fear not, there is a starting point. The first step is to reduce the influence of the external on us by the simple act of practicing yamas, restraints, and then to calm our internal state by practicing niyamas, observances. To come to our mat and engage in asanas, the benefits of which I've already explained, because prana is fundamentally activity. Because remember, if it stops, we die. And we humans are predominantly rajasic in nature because we are constantly moving, active, and attached to the external. If that rajasic state is fueled by our tamasic state of negativity, anger, jealousy, then our prana, which remember is influenced by our mind, thoughts, and emotional states, will get blocked in us. This will leave us feeling heavy, prone to sickness, as all the different forms of prana will be weakened due to slow, erratic energy, thereby compromising all the systems that are fueled by our prana. But when our prana is calmed, smooth, consistent, shifting gently from rajasic to sattvic, then everything works as it should, harmoniously. This is where pranayama enters the picture. The techniques to subdue, settle, and influence prana so that it may assist us to achieve the goal of yoga, which is to connect our mind, body, and soul, with soul being our consciousness that connects us to all other living things and to the universe. Because unless we can find a way to direct, move, and shift prana in a smooth, constant flow, it will, by its rajasic nature, hinder our desire for inner tranquility. Because really, who wants to constantly live on the swinging pendulum of emotions? Slow the mind, slow the prana. Slow your prana, slow your mind. Slow everything, move your body back into homeostasis, and bring disco back into your body. It is such an intertwined system, our body and mind, that to really incur change and the full benefits of yoga, it is not enough to engage in just one limb. You have to slowly and eventually engage in all 8 limbs to ensure that your sattvic guna is the one that rises to the top of our being, sinking the other 2. It is why we normally start our journey into yoga with asanas, yamas, and niyamas, to slowly give rise and more permanence to our sattvic guna. It is why when you first start yoga, meditation seems like a torture chamber trying to kill you, because our rajasic and tamasic gunas are still large influencers in our mind and body. It is why we also struggle with our yogic breathing, which is long, deep inhales and exhales originating from our diaphragm. Because unless we are calm or have experience with pranayama, trying to corral our breath, our prana, is like trying to tame a bull in a bullfight. Someone's going to get hurt real bad, and it's going to be you. So what is the breath we engage in when practicing pure yoga? Because if you practice yoga, you will know that there are so many different types of breathing. Breath to cool you, to heat you, to vibrate you, and so forth. The vast array of pranayamas, breathing techniques, are ways to manipulate our energy for the benefit of our body. So for example, we engage in honeybee breath, which is the breath to stimulate our glands in our throat and head, and massage our vagus nerve. When we do Bhastrika breath, which is bellows breath, we are seeking to create heat in our body and a quick release of energy. Then there are the cleansing techniques known as kriyas that clean and rejuvenate our systems. One such kriya is Nauli breath, which uncontaminates our digestive system and massages our digestive organs as well as those around them. In our body, where our gut is the queen to the king, which is our brain, cleanliness is very important. But for meditation, which is at the top of the yoga ladder, there is only one pranayama required, which is deep inhales that expand the belly by parachuting open our diaphragm, followed by the rise and expansion of our chest, throat, and the nostrils without moving the shoulders. Then exhaling deeply, without force, to completely empty our lungs. In time, our exhale should be much longer than our inhale, as we sink our body and mind deeper and deeper into tranquility, which, if you remember from my last letter, happens on our exhale, and it is there that our parasympathetic system finds its home. In this way, we are slowly starting to influence the prana to move out of its rajasic nature and slow down gently, and at the same time reduce its stimulated state. At the same time we slow the breath, we need to slow our thoughts and or remove any attachments to our thoughts that can catapult our prana back to its erratic state. Lastly, our body should find stillness and comfort in the seated position, so as not to be stimulated, or our prana will move back to its erratic state. Many pranayamas, the active influence on our energy through the manipulation of our breath, should not be done when you are hungry, angry, or in a state of emotional turbulence, because if you do, you are right back in the bullfight. In the above states of negativity, one should engage in deep yogic breaths to first shift the mind out of turbulence. In the beginning, there should be no retention of breath, as prana has to accept the conditions that you are going to impose on it. Also, when we engage in this breath, it should be mild, without sound, and unafflicted by emotions. Eventually, when you move to a place where you are on close terms with your energy, and your mind is amicable to the practice, then you can engage in retention, the holding of breath, on the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale, or both. But that retention should never feel like you are suffocating, straining, or creating pain in you. Only after some time can you move then to alternate nostril breathing, first without retention and later with retention, to bring your entire system into balance, the springboard from which you can then dive into meditation. Alternate nostril breathing is also known as anuloma viloma. This is the process where we inhale through one nostril and exhale through the other in a systematic way to balance our nervous system. And how exactly does that work? Remember the three main channels that run through our body, which I spoke of in previous letters. The channel on the left, originating behind the left nostril, known as Ida Nadi, and is associated with the feminine side of us. The moon, and when massaged with our breath, ignites our parasympathetic, relaxing our mental, biological, and physiological processes. That also activates the right side of our brain, thereby slowing down our mental processes and basically putting the reins of our mind, putting the reins on the mind. The channel on the right side of our body, originating behind the right nostril, known for its abundance of heat, energy, and masculinity, known as Pingali Nadi and symbolized by the sun, giving rise to energy, heat, strength, and creativity, all linking to the healthy characteristics of our sympathetic nervous system when it is not being chased by a shark. Because when our sympathetic nervous system is engaged in a healthy way and is in balance, it will give rise to unique creativity and positive energy. This channel stimulates the left side of our brain, our more extroverted side. So when we engage in alternate nostril breathing, we literally are alternating inhaling and exhaling through alternate nostrils to bring us closer to homeostasis. I won't explain the technique here, as it is very easy to look up on the internet, but I will explain this. When you first start to use this technique, there should be no retention of breath, and your inhale count should match your exhale count, so as not to put stress on your nervous system by forcing prana through specific channels. However, once you have mastered this art of breathing, go ahead and retain all you want. But remember, never feel as if you are suffocating or in pain. But there is method in this madness to ensure that you actually don't go mad. The proportion of inhale, retention, and exhale should be 1 to 4 to 2. So if you use 1 count to inhale, you should retain for 4 counts and exhale for 2. You can actually use the ever versatile ohm to count. So inhale for 1 ohm, hold for 4 ohms, exhale for 2 ohms. It does not matter how fast or slow you ohm, just keep the tempo consistent. In time, you can start to increase all 3, but also always do so within this ratio. When practicing asanas, you should always seek to engage your breath so that it is constant. Breathe through both nostrils, ensure that the inhale matches your exhale, focus on your breath, and find comfort and stability in your poses. Actually, when all these 3 are in effect, you are in a perfect pose. Not when our leg is wrapped around our head, because in our asana practice, we are preparing our body for meditation. We are teaching our body to move into balance so neither system dominates. Because really, we don't want to be in a coma when we're in our asana practice, or so hyped up that we are merely partaking in an exercise. Lastly, I shall answer that question that is so often asked in my classes. Why the nose and not the mouth? I'm going to simplify this as there is an entire science behind this and enough information to knock your brain out. The nose was actually built as an integral part of the respiratory system. When we inhale through the nose takes the air from outside, warms it to our body temperature, hydrates it so it goes down like a smooth martini, and mixes it with nitric oxide. The latter not only kills off bacteria, but it increases the surface area of the alveoli, little grape-like looking things that hang off our lungs, where the undercover exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. By increasing that surface area, it means our body can absorb more oxygen from the air we inhale and remove more carbon dioxide when we exhale. Remember I told you how naturally each nostril opens and closes alternately over a period throughout our day? That is because it is linking to our hypothalamus gland, which communicates with our nervous system to find balance. When the right nostril is open, it creates dominance in the sympathetic system. When the left nostril is open, it creates dominance in our parasympathetic system. So in fact, our body naturally engages in alternate nostril breathing all day, every day, by doing alternate nostril pranayama. And by doing this, we are in fact aiding and abetting a natural process that already occurs in us. Please note how the body does not breathe through one nostril for days, like we do with work, and then on the weekend switches to the other one and goes nuts. No, balance in everything is a daily process. Take some time in your day-to-day and check. Close one or check which nostril is open. After 30 to 40 minutes, notice how the other one has opened and the one that was open has gently closed. Nostril breathing also exercises our lungs and slows down our breath, giving our lungs more time to facilitate the complete absorption of oxygen and eviction of carbon dioxide. The mouth, on the other hand, is really for eating and drinking. It is also for those moments when you are being chased by a wild animal. I keep putting it like this because originally our sympathetic system was really set up to fight for your life, to literally survive, to run for your life, or to hunt. It was not intended to always be active in us all the time, which it is in so many of us because of the way we live our lives and the attachments we create to our lives. When running, bench pressing something as large and heavy as a rhino, running around work and life like a chicken whose head is being cut off, and stressed, you will breathe through your mouth because you need your sympathetic system to kick in and do the following. Metabolize sugar and carbs quicker to release more energy faster into your muscles, increase your heartbeat, dilate your arteries and so forth so the rhino does not fall on your head and you don't pass out, and for you to remain alert from all the adrenaline being injected into you. A large byproduct of all this energy creation from faster, more shallow breathing is an increase in the level of carbon dioxide and lactic acid. So breathing through the mouth not only increases the level of these two, but then it also allows for more air to move in and out of your body, thus ensuring the quick release of the buildup of carbon dioxide in your lungs, and by extension, bringing our blood back to its optimal pH due to the high levels of lactic acid in it. Dramatic changes in the pH level of our blood is deeply harmful to our health. After all, our blood is the body of liquid that feeds our entire system. It is actually the increase in carbon dioxide and the decrease in oxygen that tells our respiratory system to flip our mouth open and move air faster in and out of us. But although breathing through your mouth is fun for a while, makes exercise easier, and requires less lung strength, you should really try and keep it shut as much as possible. Dumping loads of carbon dioxide also means that we are absorbing less oxygen, which would be okay if we were a plant, but alas, we are not, and oxygen is our lifeline. Lastly, mouth breathing keeps our body in its sympathetic system, and by now you know where that takes us. It is why when we practice yoga, we breathe through our nose, because like life, it is balance we seek, and because of all of the reasons I have stated above. The nose really is a genius, and yet so undervalued. I'm sorry I sent you that last letter in the middle of an embargo. I have no logical explanation to provide you, as the act was driven by something much deeper, which is inexplicable even to me. My very least I hope it gently reminded you to ride the yellow caterpillar, as it would seem that in your world upheaval is the norm and the blue snake is king. Love, the Enchanted Yogi.